Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Breaking News. I'm Julie Roginsky here with Michelle Kinney and Jeff Jarvis. Happy Friday, everybody. We are actually pre-recording this on a Thursday in case something major breaks between now and tomorrow, which it probably will. Just wanted to let people know. Guys, I think we all want to talk about the New York Times. I'm trying to think of a non-crass way to describe
go for it. Go for crass.
This blowjob story that the New York Times did on Lauren Sanchez Bezos. And it's just let's I don't even know where to begin other than with the headline, which is someone has to be happy. Why not Lauren Sanchez Bezos? And then the sub is, as half of an unfathomably powerful couple, Mrs. Sanchez Bezos seems to have influenced the uber rich to stop apologizing and start enjoying themselves. So here's what I want to say about this. First of all, I don't know who they hired to do PR for this woman, but obviously they have, because they have turned her from the other woman in the divorce,
right?
So to somebody whose brother was selling naked pictures of her then boyfriend to the National Enquirer or to some other tabloid, I can't remember to whom. To kind of a bit of a joke, and they're trying to make fetch happen with her. And the reality is, it's not happening, not because this PR firm is not valiantly doing everything in its power, not because they're not trying to buy validation for her by having her and her husband co-host the Met Gala.
Met Gala of all things, right?
Because God bless, I don't blame Anna Wintour. She needs the cash. So somebody's got to underwrite this thing. So the two of them are underwriting it. You know, they're riding on their horse. But primarily because she hangs out with, and again, if she were hanging out with, like, you know, Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or people who are doing philanthropy and are actually doing things for the greater good, I don't think people, in fact, if she wanted to help her husband rehabilitate his horrible image as to what he's doing with the Washington Post and how he's treating his Amazon workers.
It'd be a hell of a big job, but yes.
It'd be a hell of a big job, but I think if they were actually doing what what his ex-wife is doing, Mackenzie Scott.
Phenomenal things, great things, giving away huge amounts of money with no fanfare, with no puff pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
If they were doing even a tenth of what Mackenzie Scott is doing, that people would look past everything else. But what she is doing is not that, oh, she's so happy. And she, like, look at this article. She's like, I'm, 35% happier than everybody else because I've always been that way, because if everybody's health meter is here, my health meter is here. Well, no, everybody's health meter is not here. Everybody's health meter is down here because they're living hand, foot to mouth. And
her happiness is infectious, undeniable, world historical. Mrs. Sanchez Bezos treats the pursuit and spreading of joy as a kind of mandate. But when one of the world's wealthiest people radiates this much happiness, is it celebration or provocation? Is she just rubbing it in?
I mean, God bless. Listen, she would not be with Jeff Bezos if Jeff Bezos were not a billionaire. Let's start with that.
God, no.
Let's start with that, because she was previously married to a very powerful Hollywood agent. Like, come on. Okay. If Jeff Bezos were like working in an Amazon where, whatever. God bless. You know what? You want to cash in? I actually don't begrudge you. Like, I don't begrudge people who do that, because everybody's got their reasons.
Yep.
I will say this to finish my thought. If she were doing 1/10 of the good with the money that they have, with that his ex-wife is doing, I would look past all of it. What I don't like is what she's doing. She's hanging out with Jared and Ivanka.
Yep.
Hanging out with the Kardashians. She is basically they're like 1 second away from having a reality show about themselves. And
that makes sense.
Bottom line, she all but has a reality show about herself. It's just not on TV at the moment. Yep. And it's just who she chooses to surround herself with, which is MAGA and MAGA adjacent people. And you want to hang out with the Kardashians? Like, what are they doing with their money? What are Jared and Ivanka doing with their money? What are the Bezoses doing with their money? At a time when people are starving to death, they cannot afford to fill up their gas tank to look for a new job because it is almost $5 a gallon. Like, there is a war going on in Iran, and this is what the New York Times chooses to devote their time to and to platform.
That to me is so key, is that some editor of the New York Times chose to assign this.
Yep.
And chose to have Amy Chozick do it, who went after Hillary Clinton for years, and chose to assign a glam photo as well, and then chose to play it the way they did.
Yep.
So the New York Times is in on the punchline.
Katie Couric had a great post here. I want to show this here. This is the New York Times is rage baiting us, a user on Instagram thread said while sharing a screenshot of the article, and it seems that Couric resonated with that take. Hi, Amy Chozick, Couric said in response to this post, tagging the article's author. Are you allowed to refuse assignments? This feels off. I mean, I got to give it to her.
Yeah. And, basically, like, look at this line, right? Like, was this written by her PR agency, or was this written by Amy Chozick, who, by the way, is a legit reporter, right? She did go after Hillary Clinton for a long time, but nevertheless, this isn't like somebody who typically would regurgitate a press release. But this as somebody who's in PR, I will tell you this is basically written by a PR person.
Yeah.
The perception that Mrs. Sanchez Bezos, by the way, since when is she Mrs. Sanchez Bezos? Aren't they usually Ms. in the New York Times? When did she be? But I guess she insisted on being called
That's
Mrs.
her choice.
Yeah.
There's a perception that, well, no, not in the Times. I think I think you're typically referred to by Ms. in the Times, aren't you? Like, she's Ms. Clinton. She's not Mrs. Clinton. Or is she Mrs. Clinton? I don't know.
She's Mrs. Clinton, yeah.
But okay. There's a perception that Mrs. Sanchez Bezos started rolling with the A-list only after marrying Mr. Bezos, but it's actually the other way around. Back when Mr. Bezos' connections to Hollywood largely consisted of his deep involvement with adapting the theological nuances of Middle-earth into a billion-dollar television version of J.R.R. Tolkien's novel, The Lord of the Rings, Mrs. Sanchez Bezos was already known in Los Angeles as a networker. A modern-day Brentwood country Babe Paley,
Oh, yeah.
who counts Kris Jenner, Katy Perry, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Linda Kives, wife of the super connector Michael Kives, who, among her close friends, quote, people act like he's my new friend, Mrs. Sanchez Bezos said of Mr. DiCaprio. No, I've known Leo since I was 25. 25. Okay, let me back up. I find it fascinating that of all the people that we just listed, somebody named Lydia Kives, who I've never heard of, I don't know if other people have, Kris Jenner, Katy Perry, and DiCaprio, she specifically chooses DiCaprio. Why? Because he's the least of all the people. I don't know, Linda Kives aside, she may be the greatest person on earth. Why? Because Katy Perry is toxic to a lot of people. Kris Jenner is. So she has to go with like a Hollywood establishment guy, which is DiCaprio.
Yeah, like an Academy Award person. But like even then, I mean, because men aren't held to the same standards as women are. Yeah. If he was a woman, he would be toxic because all that man does is get older and date 20-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? So like it's, yeah.
And so this is like a press release. Are you kidding? Like we're supposed to, okay, great. You were a hanger-on in Hollywood because your husband was also a really, her first husband, her second husband, I don't know which husband this was, but her husband prior to Jeff Bezos was a huge, powerful man and continues to be a huge, powerful man in Hollywood. That's what this is about. She hasn't actually done anything. And they're trying to make her into some sort of, she flies helicopters.
Oh yeah. That was
great. Fantastic.
She could be the governor of New Jersey next. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Okay. She flies helicopters. And wait a second. Yeah, except the governor of New Jersey was actually in the Navy. And like,
legitimately.
She didn't own one.
Yeah. So that's one. Two, she's like, they're just keep trying to make this woman legit. Like, she used to be a journalist for who? Some local Fox affiliate. And then I think she went to work at, and I don't mean to demean people who are like local affiliates. Actually it's very hard work. But my point is she's not Barbara Walters and neither was I. So I'm not trying to pretend that like.
It would be like me billing myself as being a rocket. Like that's not a thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it didn't happen. Just because I tap danced in the local regional theater production of 42nd Street doesn't mean that I did.
Of which we hope there is videotape.
Oh, there better be video of that, Michelle.
There is, unfortunately. But
well, you're
I guess, I mean, like, that's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Don't lie in your resume.
So I just looked up a few things on timing. And I'm not, this might sound like I'm about to defend Jeff Bezos. I'm not going to. He has his own agency, apparently. But he bought the Washington Post in 2013 when we had hope that he was a decent guy, that he was doing that for decent reason, that he was defending democracy and protecting an institution. Mm-hmm. And according to Marty Baron, for a long time, he did just that. Right? Poor Marty Baron, who everything he said about Jeff Bezos that was nice was given live by Jeff Bezos. But, from 2013, he was seen as a even though people didn't like the size of Amazon or so on, he did something good with his money. Yeah. He got divorced in 2019. And who goes on to do wonderful good work? His ex-wife. Mm-hmm. He then marries someone, and is it her choice or his choice that they hang out with the Kushners and such? When did he become right-wing Trumpist? Was that his true nature before? Was Mackenzie Scott just a good influence? Is Sanchez a bad influence on him? Again, I don't mean to excuse him. He has full power. Yeah. But it's interesting that nobody's really kind of examined the flip of Jeff Bezos. So, he was the guy with the funny laugh. He was the guy who bravely built a new kind of company. He was the guy who saved the Washington Post. And then now he's this cartoon of testosterone.
Well, this happens a lot with couples, right? I mean, what's that movie, Runaway Bride, with Julia Roberts, where she comes to the conclusion by the end of the film that all the different egg dishes that she's ever liked have been the style of cooking eggs that whomever guy that she was with, whether it be scrambled or poached or whatever it is. And then she realized that she never learned what she likes. And maybe just Jeff Bezos is one of those people who only likes, who likes the eggs cooked the way that whomever he's with. And that just might be, his situation. I don't know.
I have a hard time blaming this on the wives.
I'm not trying to do that either. But
I'm just saying, like, he might just not know who he is at all. And this is like a shiny new thing to him. And he's like, I'm going to take that on.
I think this is Jeff Bezos fearful that Trump was going to go after Amazon the way he went after Amazon in the first term. And so if you can't beat him, join him. And that's what he did. And so but I do want to say this, because I'm going to read from the very article here that we're talking about that is so unself-aware, it is unbelievable. Quote, in 2005, Mrs. Sanchez Bezos, however you pronounce the name, married Mr. Whitesell, previously the executive chairman of Endeavor, the sports and entertainment conglomerate. He's something like the Tom Brady of Hollywood agents, with a client list that has included Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Hugh Jackman. Why do you think she's hanging out with the Jenners and Leonardo DiCaprio? Because they like random helicopter pilots? No, because she was married to a really powerful guy before she married this.
That's how Hollywood works.
It's so transactional.
Right. And then she talks about, she had her own career. I just want to talk about this. The daughter of middle, I'm sorry to keep reading this, but it's so enraging.
I think you need to do an episode that is just a dramatic reading of the whole thing.
Seriously, with like.
But you're going to barf halfway through, so you can't.
Yeah. The daughter of middle-class Mexican-American parents in Albuquerque, Mrs. Sanchez Bezos always exhibited a driven, buzzing restlessness, which she now chalks up in part to her ADHD diagnosis. When the Southwest Airlines flight attendant dream died, she pivoted to broadcast journalism. Quote, people are like, oh, what has she ever done, she said. And it's like, oh my gosh, I've had an entire career that I was super proud of. As a co-anchor on Good Day LA, Mrs. Sanchez Bezos went skydiving on camera. At Extra, she interviewed Cher and Bill Clinton. She hosted the first season of So You Think You Can Dance and auditioned twice to co-host The View, but didn't get the job. That was rough, by the way, she said. Okay, let's break this down.
Think You Can Dance? I don't remember her.
First season. When did all of this happen? Was it after 2005 when she married a really powerful guy at Endeavor, the guy who ran it? Was it when she was dating him? Was it leading up to it? Like maybe, maybe not. But now her husband's rich enough to buy ABC from Disney, and she can go ahead and take over The View and host it by herself if that is what she wants to do. But she doesn't even want to do that.
She didn't want to do that. No.
Yeah, because she doesn't
wants
want
to
do
hang
that.
and be happy.
I mean, I gotta say, there are plenty of people who are, and I don't begrudge. Listen, if she had had this like successful career and then she married some rich guy, I'd be all for it. Even if she had a successful career after she married the rich guy, I'd be all for it. But the reality is she bounced from place to place, didn't really stay anywhere long term. And the reason for that is because she was obviously looking for the next bigger thing, or she wasn't talented enough to last there. Like she interviewed Bill Clinton, and she interviewed, who else did she interview there? They said, Bill Clinton and who? Cher. Okay. That's because Bill Clinton had to come through LA and his PR people got him on Good Day New York. Like, you want me to talk about all the people that I ever interviewed when I was a Fox? Fantastic. Guess what? Did I get any of those people? No. They all showed up on the couch one day when I was sitting there. It's not like she was like chasing down some scoop.
Right.
That's not journalism. By the way, she did exactly what I did at Fox. That wasn't journalism. I don't consider myself a journalist. You sit there and people show up and you ask them questions and then they go home.
I want to go to a delicate question here, which is their corporeal narcissism of both of them.
Ugh.
Hmm.
The way that they work out and dress, both of them.
And the way they design their rockets.
There's
Extremely phallic.
Yes. There's a kind of fashion exhibitionism, body exhibitionism. They're showing off each other. And then the Met Gala, it all gets the image that they choose to portray just photographically is kind of fascinating.
Okay. Can I read some more to back up what you're saying?
Please do.
Okay. All right. This is the lead. A lot of things make Lauren Sanchez Bezos ridiculously happy. Helicopters, fashion, protecting the narwhal. I don't even know what that is.
The narwhal?
Yeah. Her
It's
little
like an animal. Yeah.
Okay. Her little sister Elena, her 5 best girlfriends, and of course her new husband Jeff Bezos. She and Mr. Bezos do everything together. On a typical day, the newlyweds wake up around 6 in their new, roughly $230 million compound in Indian Creek, an exclusive private island in Miami, often called the Billionaire Bunker. They don't touch their phones. Instead, they begin each day by listing 10 things they're grateful for, and they can't repeat what they named the day before.
Barf.
From there, the couple drink their morning coffee in a sunroom and watch the sun rise. Hers with a mug that reads, "Woke up sexy as hell again." His from one she got him that spells hunk and symbols from the periodic table. They play pickleball. 6 days a week, they work out for an hour with a private trainer. He looks good, doesn't he, Mrs. Bezos? Sanchez Bezos says of her new husband in an interview with Miami in January. She slow nodded, repeating, "He looks good." Now, friends, let me tell you about Julie Roginsky's morning. She and her husband, who will remain nameless because he would kill me, also do everything together. On a typical day, he wakes up well before she does to go running every morning. And then she wakes up also around 6 if she has even gone to sleep the night before, because she's typically working all night to try to fucking get shit done before the next 20 things pile up. I can't complain. I don't have a $230 million compound, but I'm not going to cry and pretend that I don't have.
Can you see the sunrise from your apartment?
I cannot see the sunrise from my apartment because I live in New York City, but okay. I touch my phone. You know why? Because I have to look at the 17,000 messages that everybody on earth is trying to, like, all my clients, everything else I have to do.
Don't you have people to do that for you, Julie?
Yes, respond to them. If I don't respond to them, which I spend all night responding to them anyway, they go ballistic. I don't have time to begin listing 10 things that I'm grateful for. I truly wish I did. That actually sounds like a very nice thing to do. And there are many things in my life I am grateful for. I just don't have time to list them and think of fucking things that can't repeat from the day before because I don't have time to think about stuff.
You're not waking up and journaling for 10 minutes upon
No,
sunrise.
I don't have time to sit and drink my morning coffee in any sunroom.
Julie is launched like a Jeff Bezos rocket.
Yes, because I got to scream at my son 20 times to get his ass out of bed, brush his teeth 100 times, make breakfast for him because God forbid he puts the toaster in the toast, the toast in the toaster himself. Make sure my husband's taken care of. Make sure both of them get off to work and school. That's a whole chore. And then immediately start working like a crazy person, probably for the next 18 hours while planning dinner, while planning to like help my son out with his homework, while asking my husband about his day when he gets home. I don't have a mug that says that woke up sexy as hell again. Because my friends, I don't wake up sexy as hell again. I wake up looking like a disaster because I don't sleep at night because all I do is work. And I would love to get my husband a mug that says hunk and symbols from the periodic table, but he would laugh at me and literally throw it in the garbage. So there you go. Although I do think he is wonderful. I don't have time to play pickleball, and I don't have time to work out for an hour with a private trainer or even work out for an hour with any trainer because I don't have time. And ladies, anybody here who is listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. So this is not her rubbing it in my face because, to be honest, I am very glad for her. I'm not joking. Actually, I'm very glad for her that she now has the freedom and the wherewithal to do that because I guess somebody else is taking care of the kids. Or where are the kids? I don't even know where the kids are.
Have kids?
She's got kids. She's got a bunch of kids.
Oh.
But maybe they're adult kids. I don't know. But I will say, at a time when people are at the end of their rope, and I'm not one of them. I am lucky. I do not live paycheck to paycheck, so I'm not going to pretend that I am like nobody has to cry me a river. But if I'm this stressed, and if I'm at the end of my rope like this, and I've got a little bit of a cushion, I can only imagine what other people are going through.
Exactly.
This
article, go ahead. Sorry, Michelle.
No, I was going to say, let them eat cake. That's what
exactly what I was going to say. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is an aristocratic lack of empathy with the world.
Yep.
By both her and Amy Chozick and the New York Times.
Yeah. This is like Ivanka. Remember during COVID when everyone was like losing their jobs or couldn't work or anything? And Ivanka Trump told everyone just to find something new. Just find something new. Like,
I don't think these people understand, and I legitimately mean this, that most of us don't have time to think. Like, if you were to ask me for the 10 things that I'm grateful for right now, I could think of 3 off the top of my head, all of which are my family members and you guys and Mayday and the whole thing. But the reality is I don't have time to sit around all day long and think about things that I'm grateful for 10 minutes, 10 things that I'm grateful for, new ones every day. And I'm going to be clear. I think it's a wonderful practice. Like I actually like that. I'm not trying to demean it.
No, because the reason you can't, Julie, is because you are working on trying to improve things for other people. And so that's that. And if you make a list of things in the morning, the things you have to do, besides in addition to your family, is trying to save democracy and trying to fight for women who are abused by male power, and that matters more. You really saw none of that in this article. Even a good PR company would at least try to say, and talk about the manatees you're saving more, or
the manatees.
There wasn't manatee. What was it? What was it?
No, I love the manatees. She's saving the narwhals. But I wish it was the manatees because they need more saving.
They do.
But the thing is, too, there's no mention of anyone except for herself, really, truly. I guess I'm just saying the same thing that you guys are saying, is that it's just gross. Like, I don't know how people walk through the world not giving a shit about anybody else. Like, at what's the dollar amount? What's the dollar amount that you stop giving a shit about other people? Is there a dollar amount? Is it a square footage of your house? Like, what is it exactly? What level of fame do you stop giving a shit about other people?
And then
I don't know.
And then some editor at the Times, or maybe it was Amy Chozick, because they break this up into subsections. The subsection is, if Kate Middleton were a Kardashian, Is she supposed to be our royal princess? What the fuck is Kate Middleton or a Kardashian? Are we?
Middleton is not a Kardashian.
Well, no. If Kate Middleton were a Kardashian, she'd be Lauren Sanchez Bezos, however she likes to address herself. So the point is, like, the implication here from the New York Times is that she's now our American royalty. Does anybody? I legitimately want to hear from people in the chat or anybody who's watching this later. Does anybody think of this woman at all? Period. Like, has anybody actually given thought to her? Like, Kate Middleton is royalty, so therefore she's on the minds of the people. Does any, like, I spend time thinking about Kate Middleton. Has anybody thought of this woman ever, short of her coming across, somehow your feed or reading this article? Like, I don't think I've ever given any thought to this woman right now.
The only time I've ever thought about her is literally when her photograph is put in front of me and I feel repulsed. Like, I mean, quite literally, just because of just like the over the top, look at me kind of aspect of their performative existence. I think that's it.
I mean, this is the line that Amy Chosik decided to write. Nobody forced her to write this. When she works these nonprofit events, and I'm sorry, let me back up to the previous paragraph. The day we met, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association asked her to speak to a group of mostly Black and Latino high school students interested in careers in aviation. Let me stop right here and say the PR company in charge of this was like, how can we make her look like she's doing philanthropic work? Oh, I know. Let's plan an event with Black and Latino high school students who are disenfranchised or disadvantaged, and we'll have her show up, right? But nobody has the guts to say to her not to do what she did next. She arrived in an SUV with a small entourage, glammed down in a ponytail, a brown leather bomber jacket, and aviation sunglasses. When she works these nonprofit events, it's a little like if Kate Middleton were a Kardashian. She's a big hugger, pulling teenagers in to ask their names and what they're studying. A pilot handed her a book he wrote called It's Available on Amazon, adding, "It's available on Amazon." She held it up for the cameras. Got to support the family business, she said.
So can I just say something here too? And this is just the absurdity of their 11-second whatever space travel that she pioneered in her husband's penis rocket. And, I love that there was a bunch of women that went up to space. Cool. But the whole premise of it, and she made it this way, and talking about the glammed up thing, Julie, that you just said made me think of this. The whole premise of it was like, we're going to be glam in space. Here's the thing. I understand, like, at the heart of it, like, femininity should be celebrated and its strength, and we're allowed to be pretty and also be into science and like makeup and shoes and all these things.
Be strong,
right?
Yep.
Right. We're allowed to do all of these things. We don't have to morph ourselves into like a male shell in order to exist in these spaces. However, we can't come out the other way either, like glam first. Like, I think you just do these things and do it however you want to in your fake lashes or whatever, and to be taken seriously. And I just think that everything's such a novelty to her. It's unserious. Nothing is serious. And it's like, it's such an insult.
She also says something here that it just drives me crazy. And let me preface by saying I am all for people getting plastic surgery.
Yeah, same.
Like,
God, do what you gotta do.
I never judge women's appearance, ever. Like, whatever makes you happy, God bless. It makes me happy after years of working at Fox not to put on a shred of makeup right now. This is what I look like in real life, to anybody who would be shocked. And that makes me happy, right? It makes other people happy to go and get glammed up every day. And by the way, like, I am all for it. I felt great when I was glammed up. I still feel great when I get glammed up. So I don't, if I were Lauren Bezos and I had time for somebody to come over and do a blowout and put makeup on my face every day, 100% I would do it. No question about it. I just don't have the time or money to do it. However, she says something here that I have to, and this is the one and only time in my life I think I will ever address somebody's appearance, but she opened the door here. I'm reading again. A lot of the snark about her appearance and her clothes feels rooted in racial stereotypes, she argued. It's the shape of my body, she said. Is someone going to give me a gunny sack and ask me to put on a belt and cinch it? I'm Latin. Honey, that's not what nature gave you. Don't blame this or say that this is because you're Latina. you are Latina, but don't say for a moment that what you got on your chest or what you've got on your face is because you're Latina. It is because you went to a plastic surgeon. And I don't begrudge you. If it makes you happy to look that way, I am all for it. God bless. Like, seriously, God bless. You will never hear me criticize what she looks like, ever, because it makes her happy. But don't pretend it is because you were born this way. We're not blind. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Jeff, if I were you, I would not shut on this part because you're a guy. But Michelle?
Well, I mean, on that thought, and this isn't actually something that was on our list of things to talk about today, so I apologize for the 180 here, but talking about the appearance and how this is all reported on, how it's affecting the manosphere, because women have done this and normalized this and kind of shrunk our feet and our waists and all these things for years and years and years, but now that men are doing it, it's suddenly a thing. I don't know if you guys saw the coverage of the looksmaxing phenomenon. 60 Minutes Australia. If people are not on to 60 Minutes Australia, get on to 60 Minutes Australia. The reporting they're doing is outstanding. Outstanding. They did a whole thing with the looksmaxing in this past week, and they teamed up with this 20-year-old who is a hot mess, but part of this whole incel community, about how he is influencing millions of other young men to morph themselves and hurt themselves. Do you mind if I just show this clip really quick? Okay. Let me see.
Is a guy that courts controversies and is constantly criticised for his anti-female rhetoric. So, I wanted to ask him about looksmaxing's origin in the incel community. Involuntary, celibate men who hate and blame women for their lack of sex. Looksmaxing was obviously a term created by the incel community. How do you feel about being linked to that group?
I'm not linked to that group in any way. Looksmaxing is self-improvement, right? So it's about potentially even ascending out of that category. And so that would be kind of one of the goals, is to disassociate from being an incel and overcome that. So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Bringing up incels certainly got under Clavicular's skin, but it was mentioning his links to notorious misogynist and accused human trafficker Andrew Tate that really sent him spiralling. You've obviously shared company with Andrew Tate and other, dare I say, rather controversial figures. Why do you spend time with people like that?
All right, have a nice day. Are you trying to... I see you want to make this political. Too bad I didn't have time to look into, anything about potentially, who your wife cheated with. But don't try to go down that line of questioning with me. All right.
I mean,
because I'm not doing any political.
I'm not married,
gesturing.
But so I was simply only asking because obviously
maybe you got a looksmax then. So I could teach you about looksmaxing then. Maybe you could switch that up. But thanks for the time. Appreciate the interview. All right.
The thing about Clavicular is his cameras always stay rolling. Not only did they show he's not a fan of mine.
What a slimy bastard. That guy. Piece of shit. I didn't like him.
But also that he, despite the criticism, has no intention of changing.
Yeah, of course. No, Tate's my boy, and we're going to be doing a collab soon. I've got no problem associating with Andrew Tate. It's like, yeah, I'm doing collabs with Andrew Tate this marathon. He's going to be here in Miami soon.
Okay.
So we've talked about the Lauren Sanchez Bezos perspective of femininity. And now we come to Clavicular's version of masculinity. Mm-hmm. And they're both perversions and narcissism in the extreme. There is a parallel here.
Mm-hmm. There is, but there's also a, approach, this whitewashing of all of this nonsense by the media. And in this case, it's the paper record. And the New York Times has made some very strange decisions over the years. But this to me is one of the weirdest, and this part of this is one of the weirdest. And I'm sorry, I have to just, I know we're spending so much time dwelling on the story, and maybe we won't get around to anything else, but I'm so outraged by this. Because they talk about her philanthropic giving and her philanthropic giving with her husband. And they talk about the nonprofit, and they say the nonprofit has so far distributed at least $2.4 billion with a B in grants, making Mr. Bezos among the biggest climate philanthropists around, say David Callahan, author of The Givers, blah, blah, blah. And yet, he added, Mr. Bezos' charitable work lags compared with his tiny cadre of peers. Quote, he's a big philanthropist, just not relative to his fortune. And he's and this is now Amy Chosick, and he's frequently compared with his former wife, Ms. Scott, who has offended traditional philanthropy, giving away roughly $26 billion of her fortune quietly and with few conditions. Ms. Scott seems to be following in the grand tradition. Now, this is the part that should outrage everybody. Ms. Scott seems to be following in the grand tradition of the American uber-rich who burnish their reputations via noblesse oblige, established in our last gilded age of Carnegies and Rockefellers. Their descendants have continued the mission. Mr. Bezos and Ms. Sanchez Bezos can seem more allied with the rising class of billionaires who, frustrated with the glacial pace of nonprofits, want to improve the world with their privately funded ventures like the space company or their AI exploration. Okay, first of all, the swipe at Mackenzie Scott is uncalled for. Noblesse oblige.
She's not a Carnegie. She's not.
She's not because the Carnegie threw their name on everything. The Rockefellers threw their name on everything. She is giving money to the Boys and Girls Club of bumfuck. They don't even know about it until they get a check for like $20, and they never. You cannot trust me because my nonprofit has been desperately trying to get in touch with her. You cannot get in touch with her.
No.
Yeah, she's very protected.
She has to just notice, like there's no Mackenzie Scott library. There's no Mackenzie Scott Boys and Girls Club gym somewhere, as far as I know. I think that's probably part of the condition of this is that they don't put her name on anything. This woman has done it exactly the right way. Exactly the right way. There's no gilded age here. If there's any gilded age bullshit, it's the second wife. It's Sanchez.
Well, but Chosick and the Times are trying to justify the lack of philanthropic work and entrepreneurship and investment masquerading as world betterment. Well, and that's a cloak.
And it's also sorry, but their AI explorations that they're going to make billions off of. Are you kidding me?
It's also just
profit venture.
It's empty, right? I mean, it's all just super empty. And I think about, to circle back to your mention of when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post in 2013, as we all kind of felt at the time, it was this altruistic, endeavor, which it turned out not to be in the end. But you look at the history of that paper, right? Katharine Graham came from a very, privileged background, privileged family. Her father started the newspaper. Her father passed away, left it to her husband. Her husband took his life. She was the first woman to ever run a major newspaper in the history of this country and built it into a national paper. She did something that was not terribly profitable, but it was for the betterment of our democracy and for the future of this country, and did so proudly with her family and her children. And now you've got the Bezoses owning it. And it's just it's so disgusting. I mean, I just bought Katharine Graham's Pulitzer Prize autobiography and just started reading it. So I'm like, I have her on the mind. And it's just such a disgrace. It's a disgrace what they've done.
And to be clear, this article, without pointing out this, the irony of this is, first of all, she says with a straight face, quote, philanthropy is a job, quote, this is what Lauren says, you have to vet everyone, make sure the money is being used in the right way. Yeah, sweetheart, nobody's asking you to do it yourself. That's why you hire people to do this for you. And that's what Mackenzie Scott has done. It's not like she doesn't have the money to hire somebody at a foundation to vet everybody. It's like you're not using it like what? You don't have time because you're hanging out with Ivanka? And then, you're visiting the boy, you're visiting some this amount of schools in LA, so you could pretend that you're, like anyway. And then the money that they are giving away are, and I quote, closely linked to their social and celebrity ties. So Leonardo DiCaprio, Jose Andres, by the way, great cause.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio, who's a huge climate hawk, so that makes sense.
Okay, right. So Jose Andres, Dolly Parton, Van Jones, right? So the thing is, like, it's all celebrities, right? It's so that they can go hang out with other celebrities and help out their friends' causes.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to have to hug a poor person.
They're not giving money to as I keep saying, the Boys and Girls Club of Bumfuck.
Right.
It's so they can hang out with Leonardo DiCaprio. Of course, Leonardo DiCaprio is coming to their wedding and hanging out with them. Of course he is.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving them money.
There's a whole TV show that has been based on Mackenzie Scott called Loot with Maya Rudolph on Apple. And it's great. I mean, and it's kind of, I mean, it's loosely based on her, but this woman who gets divorced from a tech guy who used to be a loser, and has all this money, and she hires a staff to give it away.
Right.
It's great.
I'd like to, I'm not changing the subject, but I want to bring a few things together here, because I think what gets me about this story is the utter lack of a moral framework.
Mm-hmm.
An ethical framework, an improvement, a view of improving the world that's completely missing from the piece. Philanthropy is thrown in as a character justification.
Mm-hmm.
And compare what else happened in this week. We have Peter Baker, who finally, after 10 years, starts to acknowledge that Trump is Looney Tunes. And people were praising him for that when it should have happened 10 years ago. And we should have looked with a moral compass on what's happening. We have Yale faculty just decided to get rid of the mission of Yale University, anything having to do with improving the world, and lying prostrate to the culture cancellation crew, the right wing, without acknowledging that. They gave up part of the true mission of the academe. They didn't defend the academe against what's happening. And then you have Trump and his dalliance with the Pope. And the heresy and the offensiveness that is that. And Franklin Graham just put up a post defending Trump. Hegseth this morning defends Trump. The vice president defends Trump. In all of these, we're missing in society and media, ironic because they all claim they're religious, a moral underpinning to this.
Yeah.
And so at some point, I'm sure what some people will say about the Lauren Sanchez Bezos profile is, oh, can't you see that it was over the top because she was making fun of them? No, she wasn't. This was puff, pure puffery.
Yeah.
It was glam, and it justifies a lack of a moral perspective on our world at a time when we most need it. And when we need examples to that, think of all the people whose stories, about whom stories could have been written, about how they're running their lives, about what they're doing, about what they're devoting their energy to, about what they wake up every morning doing, around a moral view of this world. And instead, we get this shit.
Mm-hmm. And just to read some of this Franklin Graham thing, he said, "I do not."
I didn't want to change the subject. I just wanted to.
No. I'm glad you did, because we should talk about this. It says, "I do not believe President Trump would knowingly depict himself as Jesus Christ. That would certainly be inappropriate. I'm thankful to the president that the president has made it very clear that this was not at all what he thought the AI generated image was representing. He thought it was a doctor helping someone. And when he learned of the concerns, he immediately removed the post." No, he didn't immediately. He had to be pushed into it. I'm not even convinced that he removed it. And then this is, so he later on in that afternoon or morning or whatever it was, he had this DoorDash lady, this DoorDash grandma, do a stunt, who then people, sleuths on the internet went out and found that this woman had already done a different stunt for them. So we're not even sure that this is really a DoorDash lady. And he answers the reporter's question like so.
President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as the doctor. and had to do with Red Cross. There's a Red Cross worker there, which we support, and only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going.
Yeah, the husband's has cancer.
Yeah,
and a few saved dollars on her tips is going to help pay for that because our country without a moral compass isn't paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first of all, there's no tax on. This whole tax on tips. You're still getting taxed in your tips. First of all, let's start with that. What this is about is having hedge funds reclassify their income as tips so that they don't get taxed. So just
I didn't know that until yesterday when you told me that.
Just to be clear, that's what this is about. If you are a waitress or a waiter and you are you have tips and you're declaring those tips, you're being taxed.
Especially if you've gotten those. When I used to work in restaurants for many years, and if those tips are not in cash, if they're credit cards, you get that in your paycheck a lot of the time, taken from your hourly wage, which is about $3.30. And you're taxed on that.
So let me go back to the Trump thing for a second. My wife sent this to me. Captain Obvious on Twitter quoted Carolyn Levitt, and I haven't looked this up to see whether this is the case, but this may be the genesis of this. Captain says that Levitt said, President Trump's True Social post depicting him as Jesus was a doctored image.
Oh my God.
He probably got confused.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And had the wrong excuse.
I saw that.
God.
Yep,
oh my God. That's absolutely what happened.
Yeah.
Because
he's that stupid.
Absolutely. Yeah, he is that stupid. And also just like fine with being stupid. And the other thing, and all the memes on the internet have been great. There's a poster of like the cast of Grey's Anatomy all dressed with the white and the red thing. It's very funny. But C-SPAN, and so Asen, who curates a lot of clips and stuff like Aaron Rupar does online, posted this, and he wrote, LOL, how is this real life? And I'm going to play this for you if you have not seen it yet.
C-SPAN, bringing you democracy unfiltered. President Trump spoke to reporters outside the Oval Office after having McDonald's delivered via the online food ordering service DoorDash. He then took questions from reporters on several topics, including the ongoing conflict with Iran and a recent Truth Social post depicting himself as Jesus, which he denies, saying he thought it depicted him as a doctor.
All right. First of all, this is like par for the course of C-SPAN. I love a C-SPAN.
Beef was a documentary, everyone.
Yeah. First of all, I love how he has in gold embossed lettring the Oval Office.
Oh my God, just terrible.
Office, just in case you're confused.
Everything about it.
Second, have you guys ever been to the White House?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think DoorDash, you just show up in your little DoorDash car.
No.
Or I have a delivery for Donald J. Trump.
No, that's not how that works. And the fact that he ordered McDonald's, like literally every layer of that clip is insane. From like the knickknacks and the Radisson this way to the gym lettering on the walls, turning the White House into a wedding venue. It's just to the depicting himself as Jesus. But in fact, he said it was a doctor. It's just like so serious.
This is the country we are living in, and the New York Times chooses to give a blowjob to Lauren Sanchez Bezos.
Mm-hmm.
This is the context in which that decision was made.
This is for the magazine, right, Jeff?
No, I don't think so.
Paper?
Hold on. The URL will tell you. Poor Medium is so borked today. I don't think so. If you look at the URL,
no, you're right. You're right. It's not. It's for the paper. So,
yeah, it's a business story. Wait. That's a business story.
Oh, it's in the business section?
That's what the URL says. What the?
Oh my God, you're right. It is a business story.
Oh my!
God. The thing is, you because of the disembodied paper, you don't know where things are in the taxonomy.
Oh my!
That is journalism. You don't know where it's presented. In the URL, it says /business.
Oh my God!
That's hilarious.
Wow. That's incredible. business. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Well, you know, the thing about it is like, while she's in her let them eat cake era and Donald Trump is in the Pope is weak on crime era, like none of this stuff is helping them. Like this is like I like this is maybe I'm naive here, but I do think people are coming with their pitchforks. I do think that with their pitchforks and torches. I think we're closer than ever for that happening, whether that be just, you know, figuratively or literally. We don't know with all these warehouse fires going on. But, you know, Trump attacking the Pope has not been a good situation for him at all.
God bless, so to speak.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously we have an American Pope from Chicago. Fantastic. Probably the most progressive Pope we've ever had, outspoken against the war. And even the non-Catholics are deeply, deeply offended by this. Julie, you're not Catholic. Your husband is Catholic. And you feel offended by this.
I'm offended by this whole situation. But, you know, I got to go in a minute, but to go back to the Lauren Sanchez thing real quickly, which kind of ties into what you're saying, Michelle. I want to know who at the Times made this decision. And I wonder if this is A.G. Sulzberger having a conversation with Jeff Bezos in their little billionaire, wherever they all hang out together, and whether that's how the story came to be.
We'll give you an exclusive.
Yeah.
Right. But I
put it in the Washington Post, honestly. Like,
well, because that would be a little too cute, right? So
I know, but like, when do they ever care about that?
Was this a PR company planting this, or was this a Bezos to the publisher, which the publisher, of course, will say he has no influence of.
Yeah, well, too, I would hope that it's against the rules of the New York Times for employees of the New York Times to criticize the New York Times. But at some point, just like the people who were stuck at CBS right now and who will be stuck at CNN, at some point we need to expect the journalists on the New York Times to defend New York Times and journalism against this kind of shit. And I haven't heard a word from them asking exactly the question you just asked, Julie. Who the hell assigned this?
Yeah, in the same in the same way that I would like Catholics and non-Catholics. I am not Catholic. I'm not even Christian. I'm Jewish. But to stand up for the Pope. I don't care if you think Donald Trump is the greatest man on earth.
Yep.
Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And render unto God what is God. And let him worry about the economy and let him worry about everything else. But I don't know what the hell is going on.
Leave the Pope. I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
And then you have J.D. Vance, which Michelle and I talk about all the time, who's been Catholic.
Yeah. Let me just
theologian.
Let me just play this.
I think that's a reasonable thing, Brett. I don't think that it's particularly newsworthy, but I certainly think that in some cases it would be best for the Vatican to stick to matters of morality, to stick to matters of what's going on in the Catholic Church, and let the President of the United States stick to dictating American public policy. But when they're in conflict, they're in conflict.
You asshole. You have been Catholic all of 5 seconds. I'm like half-seas Catholic. My mom's whole family's Catholic. My parents were married in a Catholic church. I could not be baptized Catholic because the priest wouldn't allow me to be because my father was not Catholic. And like, but so I on a cultural and lineage sort of way, like I feel like he's coming from a people. And I find all of this to be deeply, deeply offensive. And I think it's also why, at least from liberal world, I mean, I have seen a surge within my own friend group of, cradle Catholics who very liberal, have left the church, stopped going, are like, that's it.
We're on Team back. Pope.
Yeah.
No, listen, my husband goes to church almost every Sunday. Again, I am not Catholic. I might go to church with him this Sunday. Well, no, Michelle and I are going to go furniture shopping, so that's not But if we were not going furniture shopping this Sunday,
it's not on video.
I'd be right there. My point is not that. My point is,
after the Pittsburgh massacre, I went to shul.
Yeah, so did I for the first time.
I'm Presbyterian. And it's time to show solidarity. It's time to show where we stand.
Yep.
And
you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe Michelle will come back early. We'll go to church.
Yeah, I'd be happy to go. And this might be AI, it might not be, but I liked the premise. So it's just a couple seconds. I'm going to show this.
Probably AI. That's great. Guys.
This is why we need AI. See, AI is a good thing.
Right. I was like, AI for cat stuff. Yes, always.
Yeah, we're
always,
here for it.
always.
I got a jet. I got to go. You guys can stick around and talk about other stuff if you want.
No, I got to go finish editing the Americans podcast, which is going to come out tonight. So if you're seeing this on Friday, go to our Mayday YouTube page and go watch episode 5 of The Illegals, the Americans Rewatch podcast.
And I got to do my PT exercises. So.
And there you go. We're all protected by the universe.
Yes. All right, everybody. Great to see you all, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.